Hi there, I'm Peter Brophy. I'm VP of Digital Procurement and Supply Chain at Edbury Daley. Edbury Daley are a niche recruitment specialist. We're focused on the digital procurement and supply chain market, both in the UK, in Europe, and the US. And we work with professionals in corporate organizations and consultancies driving digital procurement transformations, but also with people within the SaaS vendors themselves, people who supply the software that procurement professionals use to do their job. Today I'm talking with Alun Rafique at Market Dojo about culture and values and the impact that has on companies and their jobs. Alun, would you like to perhaps introduce yourself, please?
Oh, hi there. Yeah, great to be here. Nice to meet you, Peter. Yeah, my name's Alun Rafique. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Market Dojo. My background's in engineering, procurement, sales, and we started Market Dojo about 12 years ago now, with a view to helping procurement professionals with managing their data and their costs and their risk.
What I wanted to talk to you today was really about culture, employee values, and really how the organization is perceived by its own people. As a recruiter sitting on the outside, we're acutely aware of this, that this has a major impact on how organizations both resource and retain their people. I mean, as a recruiter, if an organization has a really bad reputation, that gets out there and we find it very difficult to recruit for them. But equally, if an organization has a really good reputation and their people are engaged, they're on board, there's a good supportive culture, good work-life balance, etc., it's actually very difficult to tempt people out as a recruitment person. And as part of that, I've been doing some research, and we looked at Glassdoor, which is one of the well-known tools where employees and ex-staff can self-report in terms of how they found the organization in terms of its culture, its senior managers, etc. And when I was looking through the procurement technology sector, a couple of organizations really stood out, and yours was one of them. Market Dojo had, it had really high levels of engagement, a great culture. People were very positive about the organization. I think of all the reviews on there, you guys got 5 stars and everything. I think there was just one review that had 4 stars. Everything was really positive, and particularly you got 100% CEO approval, and the business got 100% rating for the future. First of all, were you aware of this, Alun?
Yeah, I'm not quite sure how we did that. I mean, we understand that there's Glassdoors there, and we see comments there. We lightly monitor it, and we try to reply to anything that comes up. We have a lot of internal communication, regular chairsides with all our employees to try and understand any challenges that come up. For example, I think one of the comments that might come up is around our office location. It's a bit rural. We try to mitigate things like that by having a nice office. It's a big office. We've got a breakfast bar. We have office snacks. We have a pool table, hybrid working, remote working. So, you've got to listen to what you hear and respond to it in a way that tries to take into account everyone's opinions, which isn't always easy, but we do try to take account of that.
Do you think then that's why your ratings are high, then that you've driven that culture, that by the sounds of it, the senior management team, yourself included, are really bought into this, are they?
Yeah, I think one of the comments sums it up nicely, where they said that Market Dojo feels like a family, and we've always tried through all parts of our organization to focus on the culture, and we have many streams within the company around we have a social secretary, we have someone focused on well-being. So we try to drive that culture through the company at all levels, really.
I was going to ask you how you've driven this supportive culture and how you work as a team, but what I'm interested in, do you set this as part of your values within the organization? Do you have a specific set of values that everyone looks to work to?
Yeah, we've always looked at the culture, and part of the interview process, and as we've grown, we've had to adapt that. When we were very young, with only a few people, or 5 to 10 people, we used to have all the recruits kind of walk around the office who'd been interviewed, and everyone got to ask them a question, which ended up with some quite embarrassing questions at the time. So you got to be a bit careful of that.
Yeah.
So we really do try that. We try to have one of the founders involved with each of the interviews that come up. And we also encourage, a lot of honest and open communication within the company. So it is a fit for the business is a very important part of our recruitment process. Yes.
Was that? I know you one of the co-founders of the business. Was that with you guys prior experience in larger organizations? And I'm just thinking that, some large organizations don't engage in the same way, do they sometimes? It can be very political, for example. Was that partially due to prior experience, or is that just how you guys are?
Yeah, I think, in all fairness, I think I'm very lucky. I've got a couple of co-founders who are, we're all very dedicated to the business. I started Market Dojo 12 years ago with 2 co-founders, and we thought we'd play a bit more golf. But none of us ends up on the golf course. I think I've played golf about 5 times, which is quite common from business owners, I found. But we're all very dedicated to the business and growth and retaining the staff, and we've always been that way, really. And that comes from a place of, we really enjoy where we work, and we want everyone else to enjoy that as well, and that kind of drives the values of the team, that we all live this.
Do you think that culture's changed as you've grown? Because obviously you were just the 3 of you initially. What size business are you now? Again,
yeah, we're over 30 people now, which is fantastic.
The culture must have changed a little bit from when it was the 3 of you to how it is now.
Yeah, it's you have to adapt and you have to change. As I mentioned, when we were very young, we'd walk prospective candidates around the office, and everyone got to ask us some questions. And as you grow, not all these things are sustainable. So you need to find new ways to embed your culture. We have regular team meetings every month where we're very open about the position of the business. I remember during COVID, we were very open to the fact that our policy was to make sure we made it through COVID and ensuring we have all the staff. That was our mantra. We're going to pull through this with all our staff. And that was very key to us. We're now part of ESCA, which, when I tell people about how it's been since ESCA bought just over 50% of the business, I'm a bit surprised by how many people are surprised by how good the story is. ESCA is a French company. They specialize in order to cash and P2P, and they purchased us with a view to making an S2P solution. And on the technology side, we fit very well into, they have like this, and we fit into what they need. We're the sourcing part of their P2P business to make S2P, but on top of the technological fit, there is very much a cultural fit in terms of how we treat our employees, how we engage with them, how we, look at the business with respect to risk and not taking too many risks. And so I think as we've grown, we've had to adapt, but the core values around open and honest communication have always been there. As I say, we don't always get it right, but we do always try. And I think we've not lost that part of our communication internally, which I think has been a real kind of success for our team, really.
I was going to ask actually, so because obviously I was aware that ESCA had taken a major stake in the business, and I was going to ask, I wanted to ask about the culture. Was that part of your decision-making process with ESCA, that it both fitted the tech and the market offer and the culture in terms of the business? Because that's unusual, actually.
It's really interesting. I mean, we had a previous investor, sovereign wealth fund, that have now been bought out, and they had some very good returns. And we were looking for investment again, And when ESCA came along, we weren't quite sure if that's what we wanted to do at the time. Although I've got to be very honest with you that ESCA are a fantastic company. They've treated us ever so well, and they're wonderful to be a part of. And I think their culture and their fit from that perspective was a large part of the decision, because it means that we can treat our employees in the same way moving forward.
That's quite refreshing to hear, Alun, and that might, I hope that'll ensure your ratings, and your engagement and the business keep that happiness, I guess, going forward. Because I worked myself at an organisation that went from about 30-50 people to 100 people, and the roles change, don't they? Some of your original people become senior managers. You bring people in, but they tend to be more specialised than they would have been historically. And I think obviously it's a challenge, and the culture will change slightly. But I think if you keep the communication channels open and fair and equitable, that will remain.
It's really important for the leaders in the organisation, such as our co-founders, to have a regular dialogue with the whole business, which also supports the senior leadership team in their engagement with the business, so everyone knows that the values for the business come from the top down, other than removing ourselves from the business and just leaving the day-to-day running with the senior management team. To having that regular contact from all levels ensures that culture and the desire to do things right is driven to the whole side of the business. So I mean, as an example, we've never hidden our phone number on the website. We've always had live chat. We answer live chat requests within, I think the estimate I think is about 8 seconds. And that by treating our employees right, they in turn treat our customers right. We don't put too much pressure on our employees, which doesn't put too much pressure on our customers, which ends up then as an internal, the net promoter score for our business comes out and shows, reflects that the net promoter for our business is very good. And I think in a large part it's because of how we treat our employees.
It's interesting, isn't it? That leads me on to my next point, because many organizations, as a recruiter sitting outside, sometimes I feel it might just be HR who are talking about cultures and values, but by the sounds of what you're saying, your values and the way you treat people is really impacting the service and benefits that your customers get themselves, and hence your success. So this has got a real, I hate to say economic return, but it's got a profit. There's a profit to this, isn't there?
Yeah, I think that there's a lot. I read an article the other day about a lot of people focus on just the customer kind of scores, but I think focusing on some of these internal metrics with the employees, you have happy employees, I think you'll get happy customers, as long as you've got the right processes in place. So we know how important the customer reviews are, just as we know how important it is, and we have great customer reviews on, it's like the social currency of great customer reviews in Capterra or the Gartner Peer Insight reviews, really good. And a lot of the way that stems from the Glassdoor reviews and how our employees see us. I think they're completely linked, and I think some businesses may underestimate how important those metrics are.
It sounds like you're proof of this, and I hadn't. Sorry if I missed it, but so you measure some of those things internally as well, do you, on an ongoing basis? Yeah. Yeah,
we're a very kind of metric-driven organisation in terms of a SaaS business. So externally, we measure all the metrics to do with the customers, net promoter scores, lifetime values, etc. Internally, customer satisfaction. We have we do annual surveys to see how the general morale is. As I say, we do lots of chair sides with the employees. Everyone has a chair side with their manager every couple of weeks. We do the regular team meetings, and we've just carried out an internal communication survey so we can help streamline the communication internally. And I say these are how we're having to evolve as the business grows to things happen, and we need to try and make sure that as we grow, we're still a business that's looking after the the employees. Absolutely.
I mean, that sounds wonderful. When I looked at the Glassdoor reviews and I looked at what some other organisations did, I thought, you guys must be doing something differently. But it sounds like you really live in the values, both at senior management level, right down the company, and it's paying off for you. Have you used that to sort of improve how you resource the business and how you project your brand out to customers and to the world?
It's an interesting question. I mean, we haven't per se used, Glassdoor in terms of that. We have that as part of the, we can refer prospective employees to the Glassdoor reviews. And I think that's really important. And that comes back round to attracting the right employees. And then that ends up in the kind of reviews on Gartner of the company. So, indirectly, yes, we use it. We use it a lot. Whether it's an interesting question whether we should use that more with our prospective customers, that they can see how well the employees think about the business. However, I think that naturally flows through when the employees engage with customers. We because the co-founders are still very much involved in the business, 100%. I think that philosophy to do things right is still there, in terms of you have meetings with the customer, you treat everyone with respect, you write things up, you follow up, you do what you say you're going to do. And so I think it's very important that our involvement in the business really helps to strengthen how our employees kind of work with our customers.
I imagine, listening to you've probably got a very low turnover and the bottom line's really improving wonderfully by the sound of it. It sounds like you really put everything in place and thought this through.
Without good employees, we wouldn't be where we are today. And we've grown well, and we've resourced ourselves, and we've tried to reinvest back in the employees. And it's been very successful at the moment. We've just had a record quarter. The integration with Esker into all levels is going really well, both from our business in terms of e-sourcing and the joint business in terms of source to pay solutions. And I think we're very lucky to be where we are today. And I've got to say, big thank you to all our employees for helping us get there.
And it sounds like it's an exciting time for you. Okay, the economy's not perfect out there, but digital transformations going at a pace. Procurement teams need more information. Your service is going to help. You've got the tie-in with Esker. It sounds like it's really exciting times for you and your people. Yeah,
I think it's been the past few years with Brexit, COVID, inflationary pressures have upped the game in procurement. So procurement are really the new heroes to maintain profits when sales are dropping. And I say that a few times, and I really mean that. They've been really heroes to the business, and because of what's happened, there's a real propensity for change now. And so we're finding that procurement is becoming a much more proactive function with the desire to use the right tools for the job, which means that we've got more opportunity to help companies manage their risk and their costs, which is fantastic.
And I assume that the integration with Esker will give your team, your people, more opportunities to work more broadly as well. Yeah, in terms of as you expand the services you do jointly.
Yeah, I mean that's a really good point. To maintain your employees, you've got to give them new challenges and new opportunities. And we've always said maybe more me than anyone else, but whenever anyone comes with an idea, I always say, kind of be the CEO of your own idea. In other words, if you have an idea, well, work it through, find how it can happen, and let's do it. So a lot of things that happen today within the business are because people have ideas and we let them run with them. And you're quite right with the acquisition from Esker. There are a huge amount of opportunities with respect to working in different places in different ways with other people, and I think that's really important to encourage that rather than put people in boxes, because then people have the opportunity to grow. We invest in people's training, for example, and all these type of things, and I think that's really key to the reviews that you get internally and externally.
And by the sounds of it, it's quite refreshing to hear. Actually, you're quite happy for people to take risks and make mistakes and get it wrong, because by letting someone be the CEO of their own idea, they're going to making mistakes, aren't they? You know, it's just what's going to happen.
Yeah, I'm a big subscriber, and the biggest issue is actually not making a decision at all. I think decisions have to be made. Yeah, okay, sometimes you don't make the right decision or the best decision, and you have to iterate that, and that applies to myself and everyone in the business. And as I say, we try, and we don't always get it right, and we try to improve. As an example, we've done a lot of office-based things, but now we've got more remote workers, and we need to take account of the remote workers more in terms of making the quarterly dues, socials a bigger thing, for example, and you know, working with trivial benefits. So you just have to adapt to ensure that you focus on the employees. And I think the more I talk about this with you, I do realize that actually that focus on the employees helps the customers through just a natural way of things.
Yeah, it's interesting actually, because in recruitment, one of the first things you're taught, and this is a long time ago, was there was literally a simple phrase called "smile before you dial." And it's a well-known phrase in my game, as it were. But unless you feel happy and you're enjoying what you're doing and you feel confident about it, you're not. That's not going to reflect well with the customer, is it? It feels different, doesn't it?
Yeah, I'm a big believer in a mindset, and a positive mindset, and you know, it helps you to be happy. It helps, you know, the customers to be happy. I think the kind of all of the do what you say you're going to do. You know, try to find a solution rather than focus on the problem. And I think we encourage all our employees to think in that way, to not dwell on if something's happened. Well, things do happen, but let's focus on the way forward. Let's focus on how do we fix it, how do we make it better, and that mindset is very important, and that positive mindset.
Thank you, Alun. I mean, it sounds like really exciting times for Market Dojo, I have to say, and you must personally be very excited about it, are you?
Yeah, no, massively. It's been, you know, it's just been great. We've had the opportunity to grow, and we've had the opportunity to be successful, and we've taken it, and we do feel we're taking, you know, we're very innovative in the industry in terms of what we do. We're as far as I'm aware, we're really the only true SaaS provider out there, multi-tenanted online single instance solution, especially with our licensing model being on demand. So we're really taking things to the next level out there in the procurement world, and we couldn't do that without our employees. So, you know, it's a fantastic time.
Do you think in the current market as well, that on-demand model really helps, because then customers can use you as and when and as much as they need to, rather than paying a huge subscription fee yearly or annually or whatever?
Yeah, I mean, it's the way business is going, and it's, you know, if you look at the CRM market, for a long time they've been on a kind of a pay-per-play kind of basis with enterprise models, and we've tried to bring the same structure into the procurement world. Now, we've done that ever since 12 years ago or 13 years ago now, and it's a really important philosophy, because if I just take a step back, to make that on-demand solution work, you need to make sure that, you know, you don't have a large number of support queries, which means that the product has to be well defined, which needs a good user interface, which means you need to focus on the customer problems and solve them, and you can only do that with having good employees, and then that helps to drive a particular way of working with the customers, that they can find success without having to spend huge amounts of money, and that in turn it creates trust from which you can grow with the customers. Obviously you need to invest to make that model work, but we have found that by investing in that way, it creates such trust in all areas that we can add that value, which is very important, quite innovative in our industry.
Alun, thank you. I mean, it sounds like you got a really exciting future, and I knew from looking at the Glassdoor ratings and from what I hear in the recruitment world that you guys are doing something different, and it sounds both innovative in terms of your product, how you're evolving it, the opportunities with ESCA, and how you treat and engage with your staff. So thank you very much for your time and your insights. I really appreciate you engaging with me today.
No, it's an absolute pleasure. And again, I want to thank my fellow co-founders for being there, and also everyone at the company as well, and our customers. And really appreciate the opportunity to chat about this, Peter. So thank you very much.
Pleasure. Thanks again, Alun. Speak to you soon.
Thank you. Take care.